Hi everyone, how are you? God bless you. I'm very excited to come back here. You know, I think 2 months ago I was just doing my own stuff and just in the process I was working. I've forgotten exactly where what I was going to, but in that process I received a word in my spirit, and this word came from the book from the story of David and Saul, when Prophet Samuel went to anoint and the children of Jesse, who is going to be the king and everything. At some point, the prophet nearly made a mistake and anointed the firstborn of Jesse. But God said, this is not the one that I've called. This is not the one that I have anointed. And later, by then, David was not there. We all know the story. And the prophet asked, yeah, this is the only son that you have. Then Jesse was like, oh, we have the youngest, who was David, but he's taking care of the sheep. So in that process, the prophet said, do not sit down until he comes. So they couldn't sit down until David came. And God said that this is the one that I've chosen. And by then, Saul was already rejected. God never wanted to do anything with Saul being the king of Israel, or being the king of Israel. So in that process, and there's a part where the Bible says that when Prophet Samuel anointed David, the Spirit of God left Saul, and the Spirit of God came upon David, and the Spirit of God left Saul. So when that thing hit me, there's something that dropped into my spirit. I was like, look at, Saul remained on the position. Hey, God, remained in a place, but the position was already taken away from him. The moment that David was anointed as a king, Saul, the spiritual realm did not recognize Saul as a king, because there was already an exchange. Remember, in a kingdom, you cannot have two kings. In a kingdom, you cannot have two kings. So, spiritually, things had already moved. It doesn't matter where David was, even if he was taking care of the sheep, he was the king that the spiritual realm recognized, because at that particular time, the kingship anointing was already poured on him. In as much as Saul was still having that place, he was still in the palace, but he was just there for formality. The actual king was continue taking care of the sheep. Continue taking care of the sheep. In the physical realm, Saul was a king. In the spiritual realm, David was a king. Remember, the kingdom cannot have two kings, and the spiritual has more influence than the spiritual has more influence than the physical. So that's why Saul was vulnerable, and there was a tormenting spirit that was coming upon Saul, and the only person, when you have a kingdom, the only person that has got power in that kingdom is the king. So the reason that David was the one who was supposed to come and help Saul in relieving that tormenting spirit, because David was a king. So he had authority to silence all the spirit. He had the authority to control the spiritual realm, That's why he was able to deliver Saul. He was able to deliver Saul from the tormenting spirit, because the king had a superior power. Hey, God. So that time, people did not even recognize what was happening, because David had authority over Saul in the spiritual realm. That's why he was able to summon the spirits that were able to torment Saul through music, because the king was the one who was in charge at that particular time. So we don't really understand of what exactly was happening. Why? Because Saul was not a king by then. The physical realm was able to respond to Saul. It was not the physical realm. The spiritual realm was able to deliver the physical realm of Saul. So King David had authority to summon the spirit was able to summon the spirit because he knew there was already authority that was established in him, and he has authority as a king to speak and do something to bring deliverance to anyone in that kingdom. So sometimes you have to be very careful to know, make sure the position that you're holding, that God entrusted you with, that position that you're sitting, that somebody has not taken your place, you has not taken your position in the spiritual realm. Saul was still holding the seat, but David had already taken the throne. Saul was already wearing the kingship garment physically, but spiritually David was the one now who was wearing the kingship the kingship the kingship mantle. So make sure that you walk right with God, and make sure that your position is not replaced by somebody without you knowing it. So as a child of God, I just want to challenge you that make sure you pay attention, that let your position not be taken away. You may be there just for formality, but the owner of the position has taken it in the spiritual realm. So may God bless you. And look at this. It's very, very deep. When you go to that story and read it again, it's so deep. So we have to be very careful. Sometimes there are a lot of people that are being in position that God has already removed them. He doesn't even see them. People will see you and say, oh, you're still a pastor. Oh, you're still a man of God. You're still, that glory is gone. A carbon has left you. You are a carbon. So you're just operating, but somebody has already taken the position. So if you just pray to God, may you not be that person who will be saving and be in a position where somebody has already taken your place already. So God bless you, and keep the fire burning. Be very sensitive and allow God to work through you, and don't walk in disobedience that somebody will end up getting your position spiritually and you just be there. So God bless you. I love you, and see you next time. Keep the fire burning. My name is Yvette.